Well, it seems like it was only yesterday, and actually it was about 30 years ago. I was in my first year earning my doctorate. I'm a chiropractor, as was mentioned, and I was studying embryology. And I was sitting at our kitchen table in our one-bedroom apartment. My wife was sitting at the table, and she was about 8 months pregnant. And I was reading and writing, because that's the best way that I could learn, is to read and write. And I was very intent in what I was doing. And all of a sudden, I pushed myself away from the table, and I tipped my head back. And my wife said, "What's wrong?" And it had hit me like a ton of bricks. Up until that point in time, it was my faith that had convicted me about when life began at conception. But I told my wife, you know, it just struck me. I said two things. Number one, there is absolutely no way the human body ever evolved, okay? And there is absolutely life begins at conception. I went from belief in to knowledge of at that very moment. Ladies and gentlemen, a governor needs to be right on right to life, not just in words, but in action. What I'd like to do is just read from you my embryology textbook. It happens to be the first sentence of the first chapter. It says, "The development of a human being begins with fertilization, a process by which the spermatozoon, or the sperm, from the male, and the oocyte, or the egg, from the female, unite to give rise to a new organism, human life." Life begins at conception. I can't tell you what other candidates believe, but I can tell you what I not only believe, but what I know. And it is that life begins at conception. It's the conviction of my faith, and it's my professional knowledge that drives my political philosophy. And let me tell you what that is. As your governor, if it saves lives, I will sign it. That conviction and knowledge is reflected not just in my political philosophy, but it's one of those things that you pick up on your family as time goes on. And about 3 years ago, I was convicted to be your next governor. I mean, I felt like this is what I was supposed to do with my life. And I thought I was nuts. But one thing that I've learned is that you take it to prayer, and you confide in others of like mind to do the same. And so I told my wife, and I told my youngest daughter, Amy. Now, Amy is a 4th grader, and I have 5 daughters. The reason I told Amy, yes, thank you. I heard sympathy wave across the audience. And the reason I told Amy is because she would be the one that would be impacted. And as I was telling her about this, you know, what I was feeling and this leading and all that kind of stuff, I was done, and I waited, and I could tell the wheels were really turning in her head. And the first thing that she said, "Dad, does this mean you can do something about abortion?" 4th grade daughter. And I said, "Honey," I said, "the governor is the leader." And I said, "The governor is the one that gives the vote, that gives the last vote if it comes up through the legislature. And that's what I'll do." And I just want to make sure that that is very clearly understood. We have a lot of other issues out there, has been mentioned earlier. But it's going to be very important that you understand where I'm at, that I'm convicted, and I have knowledge of and understanding why I believe what I believe. Society has really taken this to battle, life in general, hasn't it? Abortion, euthanasia, embryonic stem cell research, which is wrong, okay? And it also has created healthcare as a battlefield. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be very important that we stand our ground on all those areas. Last fall, I mean, I've been in practice for 25 years, and so taking care of patients has been, you know, really a commitment on my part and compassion. It's just how I'm wired, how a lot of healthcare providers are wired in this state. I'm happy to tell you. But last fall, our family was challenged with a major health issue. My wife was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer a week ago, a year ago. And so we went through that process. And it was in her liver and it was in her bone. And the doctors told her that, we're going to do 4 chemo treatments, or actually 3, and then we're going to decide how it's doing. And so we had her 3 and we were headed down. She had the test done and we were going to get the results on her tests. And all the way down from Brookings to Sioux Falls, about halfway down, I started talking to her and said, Mary Jean, if it's better, great. We know we're on the right track. If it hasn't changed, then we know we need to keep working at it. This is the clinician in me thinking, okay. And if it's not better, if it's getting worse, then we know that's not what we should be doing. We need to be doing something different. And she never said a word the whole time. She just looked straight ahead. And we got in the physician's office, and they came in, and they were smiling, and they said, Mary Jean, your cancer is completely gone. She was looking straight at the doctor, the oncologist. And the oncologist was just like, Mary Jean, do you understand what I was telling you? And my wife responded, she said, of course I do. That is exactly what I prayed for. Ladies and gentlemen, if you took my wife, and if we were in a single-payer system, it would have taken her 4 weeks to get to a primary care physician, just to get a diagnosis. It would have taken her 3 to 4 months to get to a specialist or to get to care. And she may not have even gotten the PET scan that would have showed us that it was in her liver and her bone and had accelerated at that pace, that rapidly. And the other thing to think about is that if you're not in control, who's going to throw money at a stage 4 breast cancer patient? This thing about life stretches across many borders. And it's impacted our life. I've watched it in my profession. I've watched it in my family. And I want you to know that my conviction to uphold life in all those battlefields will be strong. And we will be unyielding. I will serve as your governor with the same compassion, conviction, and commitment as I've done for my patients in my practice for 25 years and for the people of Brookings for the last 8 years. And I just want to thank you for this time today. It's not every chance we get an opportunity to talk about people so like-minded in one setting, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada.